Well, thank you all for being here. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Amy Schaefer. I'm the fitness manager here in our medical center, and then I'm also on our wellness council for team members and also our organizational wellness council. So thank you all for being here. Hopefully today we just are going to have a better understanding of stress and stress management and just learn some new tools and resources and see if those work for you. And I will tell you that personally, I have dealt with stress in not healthy ways myself and really hit a breaking point about 3 years ago. So a lot of the things I'll tell you about today, I'm telling you from things that I've even done and tried. So it's not just me giving you a lecture. I've actually experienced it, so you're not alone. We all have stress, and we all have stress that affects us in a negative way. So hopefully we can learn something to help ourselves today. So we're going to go right into it. So these are kind of our objectives, more about mindfulness, learning what stress is, how mindfulness helps with stress reduction, and then I definitely want to leave enough time at the end for us to try 2 techniques together. All right, so what is mindfulness? So these are 2 different definitions. I like both of them a lot. The first one is by Jon Kabat-Zinn, and we'll talk more about him in a few minutes, but he is the developer of the mindfulness-based stress reduction course. So we'll talk more about that, but his definition is mindfulness is awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. So before I read you the other one, y'all are going to get to practice mindfulness during this presentation. So when you feel the need to check your cell phone, don't. That would be being mindful. You realized, oh, my brain has slipped to thinking about something else. I'm going to stop and I'm going to bring my focus back to the presentation. If you feel the need to read the handout while I'm talking, don't. That would be practicing mindfulness. You're going to stop and realize, oh, I'm reading this handout. I need to pay attention. So that's the way you can practice mindfulness today. So that's one way that we're in the present moment. And then you're not going to judge yourself if your mind wanders a gazillion times while I'm talking. You're just going to realize it's happening, bring yourself back to the present. And so then this other definition is from Mary Elizabeth Williams, and she's a writer. And she says, mindfulness is about putting down our juggling balls for a little bit. It's about embracing the beauty of monotasking. So how many of us wear our badge of honor of how well we multitask and what all we can handle? And you know, we do think, oh, this person's so great, look at what all they can do and manage. But sometimes that's really not the best approach when we think about stress management. So what is stress? So hopefully we all know what stress is and we know some of the things that cause us stress. But it's a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. So when we feel stress, it's when we feel like things are really outside of our coping abilities. So when you're not feeling stressed about a situation, you realize that demands are not greater than what your coping abilities are. And so I like this gentleman's definition, Dr. Brian Luke Seward. He's a professional speaker on stress management. But he says there's no one definition of stress, but there's a consensus among professionals in the field that stress is a perceived threat. So that's the key word there, perceived threat. It could be real or imagined, but it's what you perceive as a threat to your mind, your body, spirit, or emotion. So some of us have learned to deal with everything as though it's a life or death situation, and it really isn't, but our body will respond as though it is. So that's what we'll talk about more with the stress management. Okay, if you did not know, if you've not seen this in one of my slides before, yep, stressed is dessert spelled backwards, so that's positive, right? So we do have positive stress. So this is the stress that gives us some motivation. So maybe it's a project deadline, but it's in a good way. You're feeling excited about what you're working on and looking forward to it. It's going to improve your performance. Now, some of the examples down here, for example, planning for a wedding, planning a vacation, labor and delivery. So that may not be positive stress for some people. We may view that sometimes in a negative way, even though it's a positive life situation. So don't just think because you find a situation positive stress, it may not be the same for somebody else. So then when we think about negative stress or distress, these are things that are going to cause us anxiety and concern. It could be short-term, it could be long-term stress, but it is perceived outside of our coping abilities. It feels unpleasant, we have decreased performance, and then it can also lead to mental and physical problems. Stress can affect us in so many different ways, and a lot of us end up going to the doctor to have things looked at that are really stress-related problems. It can cause physical issues, cognitive and behavioral issues. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second, but just keep that in mind as we're talking about sources of stress that we have at work, internally, and also some of our habits. So sources of stress at work, this could be excessive job demands. Maybe we don't feel secure in our job. Maybe we don't feel like we have the ability to make decisions, and that can cause stress. Just lack of necessary training or what you need to do your job, and then having to go to unproductive or time-consuming meetings can cause extra stress. Now, I will tell you personally, I don't work in a stressful job. The fitness center is not really a stressful place to work. My home life is not really that stressful. But this is what has gotten me in the most of my stress problems. So internal sources of distress. So we can see how many of you all relate to this as well. Fears that we have will increase our stress. Repetitive thought patterns. So who this morning got upset about somebody cutting them off in traffic? Anybody? Okay. And have you throughout the day, or maybe you had an argument with a loved one, have we rethought about that scenario any more times today? Has anybody done that today? Or you know what I'm talking about. You've done this at some point. So when we're doing that, we're actually not in the present moment. So we're not being mindful. We're dwelling on something that's happened in the past that we can't change anyway. So that increases our levels of distress. And then when we're not dwelling on past things, we're worried about future events that haven't even happened. So again, we're not in the present moment. And then unrealistic and perfectionistic expectations. Anybody do that? So surely I'm not the only one. Okay. And then just habitual behavior patterns. So overscheduling ourselves, failing to be assertive, and then even procrastination and failing to plan ahead. So those are things that we just do to our own selves that regardless of everything else that's going on, we can make it worse. So the stress performance curve, I just put this in here to show you on this end, when we have too little stress, this is just the person that sometimes you may be like, they just aren't motivated to do anything. Nothing gets them going. Probably not enough stress. Like it's just unhealthy. We're too unmotivated. But then when we get up to the peak, you can see it very quickly goes from we're in optimal performance to now we're exhausted. We have anxiety, panic, anger, breakdown, and then that leads to burnout. So I would say the majority of us here at the hospital, we all teeter up in here if we haven't already fallen down on this side. And so I know that that's something I struggle with, is this tightrope of being at top performance and not going over that curve. So does anybody feel like they have at some point been here and gone on down? Yeah. So see, we are not alone. We are all struggling with this. But just the thing I like to point out here is the statistic. It says 60 to 80% of primary care doctor visits are related to stress. But yet, only 3% of patients receive stress management help. So I don't know if any of you all can relate to that, but you've gone to the doctor for a certain symptom, and it really could be stress as the underlying cause. And if we can get the stress under control, we might not need the medication or the other treatments that go along with treating that. All right, so how mindfulness helps with stress reduction. So is mindfulness, now that we've talked about it a little bit, is there a better understanding of that's us being in the present moment? Now, have any of you all caught yourself with your mind wandering? And we've had to practice it already? Yeah, okay, that's normal. So we're not going to judge ourselves about it. But how it helps, so on the first one here, you become more aware of your own thoughts. And so when you're able to take a step back and you can take those thoughts not quite so literally. Then you don't immediately react to a situation, so you respond. So if we use the example of the person who cut you off in traffic this morning. So our immediate reaction could be screaming, hands flailing, cussing at them. Our blood pressure gets up, our anxiety's up, we're upset. Or we could be like, well, that person's just an idiot, dismiss it. Or we could take a compassionate view and be like, maybe they did get a phone call this morning and they have a loved one that's being rushed to the hospital and they're in a hurry to get there. So we don't know their situation and why they're behaving the way they are. We can only react the way that is going to be appropriate for us. So taking time to respond versus react. And then when we're in our being mode, the mind is switched on. So we're being. So if we can slow that down, we actually decrease our stress response. And then number 4 there, we're more aware and sensitive to the needs of our body. And so the one I like to use as an example is just even posture. So we're having a not so good day. We realize we're stressed, our neck's hurting, our back's hurting. Well, just check and see what is going on with your body. Are we here? Well, this is not going to help our situation. So if we can actually get in good posture, feel better, that can actually help with the stress not seem as bad. So that's one way, being mindful of what's going on with your body. And then the more aware we are of the emotions of others, the more compassionate we can be. And when we are more compassionate, that decreases that stress response. So we are more calm. So compassion's a good thing. Better able to focus. So I'm sure you all can relate to this. There's something you've been working on or doing, whether it's a work project or something fun, but you feel like you're just in the zone. Like you're totally focused on what you're doing. You're not worried about anything else. Time's flying by. When we're mindful, that is what's happening. And so the more we can practice mindfulness, the more we can feel like we're in the zone, in the flow of things. And then we're able to switch our attitude to stress. So it allows you just a little space there to think about your stressful situation differently. And then as far as what's going on in the brain, we won't get all scientific here, but the amygdala is where the brain, the fight or flight responses happens. So the more we can practice stress management and mindfulness, we can reduce the activity in that part of our brain. So then that helps us to be at a lower stress state all the time. So things are happening in the brain too. All right, so back to Jon Kabat-Zinn I talked about early on. So he, back in 1979, decided he wanted to take a secular approach to meditation and mindfulness, because prior to that, that had been mostly seen in the Buddhist religion, and he knew the benefits of it, but knew that the majority of people would not want to practice it if they thought that it had something to do with that and religion. So he took all the religious views out of it and just brought it down to its core. And so that is where mindfulness-based stress reduction was founded. So for him, for an actual MBSR course, this is an 8-week course where you're for 2.5 hours a week going to some kind of training, and then you're doing a daily 45-minute practice of mindfulness. So that's not what I'm recommending today, so nobody freak out. It's like exercise, and I'm not going to tell you to go run an hour a day every day, but this could be something that you built up to. So that is one example. And then I just will quickly, for time-based purposes, just tell you about the STRONG project. So this was a study that was done with the military and the University of Miami. And so they knew that mindfulness-based stress reduction was really good for the soldiers post-deployment. But they wanted to look at how beneficial could it be pre-deployment, because it's just as stressful pre-deployment as it is actually post. And so when I've done this presentation for nursing, comparing this to like nursing residency, like it's just as stressful then as it is actually them becoming full-time RN. So what they found is that by doing this program, the MBSR, that they did pay better attention. And that was their main focus, was they wanted to reduce errors and increase the amount of alert time and less mind wandering. So I think that we can relate this to like the healthcare field, because we want to reduce errors and mistakes. And so when we are more mindful, that's going to be less likely for us to have those. And so when we think about the new always behavior training, in order for always to really be always, we're going to have to be mindful. Because if we're thinking about something that happened a while back, or we're worried about what's happening later, we're not in the present moment working with that patient and doing what we should be doing. Does that make sense? So this is another way it could help you. So these are just real quick, we'll fly through these. These are other stress management tips. So just scale back, one big change at a time. Sometimes you can't avoid having 2 large life changes, but if you can, not having them at the same time. So preparing, whether that's for meetings, trips, all of that, reach out and make new connections. Minimize caffeine. Who's freaking out? If there is some of you that deal more with anxiety and stress, caffeine is actually not a good friend for you, because with anxiety, we're already kind of in this, excited state, and caffeine is just going to make that worse. So that's going to be harder to regulate our stress. Of course, avoiding drugs and alcohol, and then laughing. So laughing is a great thing. So finding some ways during your day to have laughter. Take up a hobby, get enough sleep, eating healthier, so getting rid of some of the fried processed things, more fruits and veggies, exercise, and I've got one slide, we'll jump to it here in a second on that, and then relaxing, and then getting professional support. And I'll talk about that one more in a second as well. Some of y'all have seen this slide before in one of our movement topics, but real quick, studies do show that it doesn't take much exercise at all to start to produce anti-anxiety effects. So that's all I'm going to say about that, is just if you've only got a few minutes would be better than no minutes. So consider that when you are feeling stressed, go for a 5-minute walk. So breathing deeper, focusing on our body posture and awareness, slow down a little bit, and then find places that you can go for quiet time. Even if it's the bathroom here at work, that might be your only outlet, and that's okay. We do have the healing garden when it's nice out. We've got the chapel, so there are some other resources. Journaling for some people, that helps. Prayer helps for some, and then also finding ways to detach electronically. So needing more help. So for those of you that are UHS, we do have an employee assistance program. I know UT Least has one. I think Graduate School of Medicine does too. I'm not sure how those two operate, so I can only speak on the UHS. But we actually get 8 free counseling sessions a year. And so this could be any kind of counseling. So let's say you're needing financial counseling. That's what's causing you the most problems right now. You could go have 8 sessions on that. But then maybe you're having just work stress. That's a different set of skills that you're going to be working on. So you could have 8 free sessions on that. You're also having marital problems. You could have 8 sessions on that. So there's not a limit when there's different types of things going on. And HR doesn't know who is actually doing this. They just know how many people that are utilizing the program. So it really is anonymous. I've personally used it. I highly recommend it. They give you a list of counselors that are in the area you tell them that you would want to go, and physical location area. And so that way you're not having to drive all the way across town. And so then you can look up those people and decide who you think would be the best fit. I know the first lady I went to, I just didn't really connect with her. So it was sort of a waste of a visit, but I didn't go ahead and use my other 7 with this lady that I didn't think I was going to get anything out of. So then I went to somebody else. So just keep that in mind. It's a great resource and it's free. We've got the fitness center here. Then we've got the Cancer Institute with their integrative health. They've got acupuncture, they've got massage. So there's things that we can take advantage of even though we may not be a patient in their facility. Has anybody done that? Is that massage? Is that the main one? Yeah. And so it's just like $1 a minute, so it really is an affordable price. And then we'll talk more. Well, actually, I'll real quick tell you about books. If you're skeptical about meditation, this is a wonderful book, 10% Happier by Dan Harris. We actually did a book club on this with the Wellness Council 2 or 3 years ago maybe, and I ended up reading it, and it was really good. This is a national news anchor who actually had a breakdown on national television, and it was due to stress and how he had not been coping with stress well, and just talks about his journey and different things he tried. And so he was definitely skeptical of all of that and how it would work. So good read. And then apps, we're going to actually do one thing from the Stop, Breathe, Think app. Some of you all may use other apps too, and feel free to share those. Stop, Breathe, Think was one that was recommended to me, so I tried it. I did the free version, and then you can upgrade. I've never upgraded. I felt like the free was plenty, but we're going to practice one of those here in a second so you can see what it's like. So first thing we're going to do, you guys are just going to get comfortable. If you've been in management briefing, we did this once, so some of y'all may have done the square breathing. Did anybody participate in the code breathe that we did back in the fall? So yeah, that was where we were trying to encourage, even if it's for 2 or 3 minutes, stopping and breathing. So what you're about to do is actually considered a form of meditation. So everybody hang on, we're going to be fine.
Square breathing. With your back straight and body relaxed, let your arms hang by your side if you're standing, or if you're sitting, rest your hands on your knees. Now we're going to silently count to 4 as we breathe. Follow the picture on your screen and breathe in as the arrow moves up one side of the square. Hold your breath at the top. Breathe out as the arrow moves down the other side, and hold your breath again at the bottom. Okay, starting on one side of the square. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out all the way, 3, 4, and hold your breath, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. Keep going, syncing your breath to the arrow. Breathe out and hold. Breathe in and hold. Breathe out and hold. Breathe in and keep going while you follow the arrow on your screen. If you'd like to keep going, keep pressing repeat. Now let's go back to breathing naturally. You can put your hand on your tummy or over your heart to feel your breath move in and out. Remember, you can always do square breathing whenever you need help to focus or calm down.
So even if you were in a meeting here at work and you feel your stress levels just rising in this meeting, you could do that breathing technique and nobody would even know. And so this next thing we're going to try, it's going to have breathing done in a little bit different way. The reason I like the square breathing is you do actually have to think because you're counting, and so then your mind is less likely to wander. When this one talks you through, noticing your breath going in, notice your breath going out, well, you're going to notice your mind going here, there, and everywhere. So that's just a great tool that you could use anywhere. So I highly encourage you, stop and think about your breathing. This one we're going to do, it's about 5 minutes, and this is what we'll finish with.
Relax, ground, and clear. Close your eyes and rest your hands on your knees. Bring your awareness to the touch of your body on your seat. Feel the weight of your body on your chair or cushion. Take a few deep breaths. While you are breathing deeply, relax your shoulders, your stomach muscles, the muscles in your face and your hands, and your legs. Let go of all the tension in your body. Now bring your attention back to your breath. Notice what it feels like as it enters through your nose, goes down your throat, filling your lungs, and back out through your nose. Notice your stomach and chest rise and fall with each inhale and exhale, and allow your breathing to be natural and relaxed. Imagine a sense of peaceful calmness slowly wash through your body. Feel the peaceful calmness in your head. Feel that sense of peaceful calmness move down through your throat, to your shoulders, down through your upper body, your arms and hands, filled with peace and a deep calm. Down through your stomach and lower body, through your legs, ankles, and feet, filled with peaceful calmness. Let go of all the tension in your body. Your entire being is filled with peacefulness and calm. Every cell, every space. Now feel that sense of peaceful calmness expand to fill the room, and even further to fill the whole city, even the whole world, filled with peaceful calmness. All sounds and distractions become the sounds of peaceful calmness. Now focus your attention on the touch of your body on your seat. Whether you're on a chair or on the floor, you're seated on the ground, the earth. Feel the qualities of the earth. It is firm and solid. Feel the earth's strength, heaviness, and unshakable solidness. And imagine the energy of the earth come up from the ground, through your feet, and up through your legs, through your body, to your shoulders, and up through your head. Your entire body is filled with peace, calmness, and the energy of the earth. You are grounded, confident, and peaceful. Imagine now that you're on top of a mountain, the highest mountain in the world. Feel the texture of the ground. It is made of earth and stone, unshakable, firm, solid. You are anchored on this mountain with your body and in your mind. Breathe in deeply. Feel the clear, cool mountain air fill your lungs. Let that air flow in through your whole body, filling it with light, peace, and calmness. From the top of that mountain, look at the sky. It is blue, cloudless, and perfectly clear. All you can see in any direction is boundless, deep blue sky. It is pure and empty. And as you look into the sky, feel your mind expanding and emptying into the vast open space. All of your thoughts and emotions dissolve into the vastness. Your mind is clear, empty, and as vast as the sky. And just rest in the stillness. When you're ready, gently bring your attention back to the room and to the touch of your body on your seat.
Did anybody fall asleep? So that one was just a good example of really 3 different forms of meditation and relaxation. It talked you through some of the breathing, it talked you through relaxing parts of your body, and then it ended with the visualization exercise. So I would give all of those a try and just see what you personally like. You may like all of them, you may be like that visualization thing, that's not for me. But the point is with mindfulness, whether you were to do that MBSR course or you're just going to do this breathing on your own, it's just like exercise. If we wanted our bicep to be stronger, we're going to actually have to do an exercise to make it stronger, and we're going to have to continually do that. So mindfulness has to be a continual practice, and through the breathing and the meditation, it really can help us to increase our mindfulness. So hopefully that gave you all some tools. There's books, there's apps, and then real quick on the back side of that handout, this is just what the Stop Breathe app actually does. It has you assess first how you feel physically and mentally, because sometimes we don't realize there is a difference. And then it has you pick your top 5 emotions. And so they may come from different categories, all the same category, but the point is, don't judge yourself for what those emotions are. And if you keep doing this over time, you will have more positive emotions. So just give that a try. Does anybody have any questions, comments? I know some of you got to get back. Did we learn anything? Hopefully? Okay. Thank you for coming.